Jonah 1 verse 17 says, "Now Jehovah had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah prayed unto Jehovah his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto Jehovah, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice." Well, our last study in the book of Jonah, we were talking about Jonah being in the fish's belly and relating it to Christ being in the condition of hell or in the heart of the earth. And notice the word belly is used here 3 times. Jonah 1 verse 17, Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And then verse 1 of chapter 2, then Jonah prayed unto Jehovah his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto Jehovah, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. 3 times the word belly is used. It's the Hebrew word 990 in Strong's Concordance, and it's used of the fish's belly, and it's the same word when it says the belly of hell. So the fish's belly is a picture of hell. It's a picture of the belly of hell, just like Jesus said, as Jonah was in the whale's belly for 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. And it's interesting that Jesus, when he says he'll be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, we understand that he's in hell. But the 3 days and 3 nights begins Thursday night in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he's not even gone to the crosses yet. That's when he's in the garden in the earlier study, beseeching the Lord that the cup might pass from him, and great drops of sweat as blood were falling to the ground. But no hand was laid upon him. And then the next day, he's brought for trial. He finally goes before Pilate. Friday, he goes to the cross. And then Friday afternoon, he dies on the cross. And then after that, he goes into the tomb Friday night, Saturday night. Now, the tomb is the grave, and in the Bible, grave and hell are synonymous. So if Jesus was 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, and that means in hell or in the grave, he wasn't literally in the grave until Friday night, Saturday night. You could say, well, he died during the day Friday. Okay, that would be 1 day Friday, Saturday in the tomb, and you even allow Sunday early resurrection. So you have the 3 days, but you don't have 3 nights, because there's no way you can figure it or count Thursday night that he was actually literally in the tomb. He wasn't. Which means that God is looking at hell on one hand as being a condition when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. And on the other hand, yes, he literally went into the grave, into hell. Well, that may apply to our time as the believers are being positioned in the proper place for our resurrection. We have to be conformed to the image of his death. And so God is very carefully positioning us in death to match the death of Christ in order that we'll likewise be in his resurrection. We'll have conformity to his resurrection. And so when we look at God's elect, the believers, some bodies are in the grave, some are alive on the earth in the condition of hell, as the world has been brought into the dark spiritual place since May 21, 2011. So we can see with Jesus that the 3 days and 3 nights are equally in hell. It's not more in hell when he went to the grave than when he was in the garden. It's equally hell, whether it was in the condition Thursday night in the Garden of Gethsemane or once he's put into the tomb. And so it's equal hell, or equally being in the grave, for all the people that are in the ground, in the cemeteries, in the graves, or those that are alive on the earth, as God has brought the world into the condition of hell. So we can see how Christ's experience is helpful to us to sort of understand that as we look at what God is doing in these days after the tribulation and judgment day.